Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about one of the most hyped, disappointed, and controversial quarterbacks in the entire NFL, and that is Aaron Rodgers. But on the other side of things, he's also one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game of football. Now, we all know that Aaron Rodgers was good in the past, but the real question is, does he still have that dog in him? Well, today I'm going to take a deep dive into Aaron Rodgers' career, New York Jets, and hopefully answer that question for you. But before we get into that, make sure you head down and hit that subscribe button because it's free, it's easy, and you're going to get weekly NFL videos. Alright, but now let's go and get into the video. Aaron Rodgers has been a hot topic for the last 2 seasons, and it is for good reason. He has a lot riding on his shoulders this year. Not only will the Jets rely on Aaron Rodgers this year, but essentially their entire future will also be relying on Aaron Rodgers. The Jets have not made it to the playoffs since 2010 and are coming off a year with arguably the worst quarterback in the entire NFL. I mean, after Rodgers went down in Game 1 last season, the Jets' QB1 became Zach Wilson, who is now struggling to even make it as the Broncos' backup quarterback, and that is arguably one of the worst teams in the whole NFL. So it is clear that Aaron Rodgers has to be the answer for the Jets if they want to be successful at all. But hold on to your hats, Jets fans, because if Aaron Rodgers can't 1, stay healthy, and 2, actually be good, then this has a lot more implications than just this year. If Aaron Rodgers is not the answer for the Jets this year, they're forced to go out and get another quarterback in a very quick time if they want to actually keep some of the guys on their roster. There are a ton of players currently on the Jets roster who have expiring contracts either this season or next, making the Jets essentially playing on borrowed time. Guys like Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Sauce Gardner will all be demanding top-of-the-league contracts very soon, which would ruin any shot of the Jets making it to the Super Bowl. So obviously Aaron Rodgers has a lot riding on him this year, especially considering he's going into his 20th season, is 40 years old, and oh yeah, is coming off a torn Achilles as well. When the Jets rolled out with Aaron Rodgers in Game 1 of the NFL season, Rodgers said that that was one of the best moments of his career, running into a packed stadium holding the American flag for a fan base who was extremely hopeful for a playoff push to end the drought. But that came to a crashing halt with the injury just 4 snaps in. Now it seems that the fan base is pretty split on if Rodgers is even good enough to be that quarterback for them, despite the fact that he didn't show any signs of regression last year, but that was also due to his injury. But as a passer, Rodgers actually has seen some regression in the past couple of years. He entered the league in 2005 and served as a backup quarterback for Green Bay for 3 years behind legendary quarterback Brett Favre. You know, kind of similar to what Jordan Love did. Anyways. In 2008, Rodgers became the starter after Favre ironically left to play for the Jets. Rodgers had a solid few years showing his elite passing capabilities before absolutely blowing up in 2011. In 2011, Rodgers had over 4,600 passing yards with a whopping 45 passing touchdowns and only 6 picks. He won his first MVP this season, his second time being a first-team Pro Bowler, was on the first-team All-Pro, and oh yeah, also won the Super Bowl. He led the Packers to a 31-25 victory over the Steelers in the Super Bowl and was named Super Bowl MVP with over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl game. Now it is safe to say that this is exactly what the Jets franchise is looking for Aaron Rodgers to be. Rodgers continued his greatness throughout his time in Green Bay, getting 3 more league MVP trophies, including in back-to-back seasons in 2021 and 2020. But now, just 3 years later and 1 Achilles later, is this guy still any good? I mean, there's absolutely no way that generational talent just fades away like that, right? Well, in 2022, we did see a pretty steep regression from Rodgers as he threw for under 4,000 yards for the first time in a healthy season, basically in his entire career. He also had only 26 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, making this his worst ratio since he was in his prime. Now we can't completely blame Rodgers for all this regression though, because there was a couple other factors as well. The biggest factor is that Rodgers played the entire season with a lingering thumb issue, and evidently it affected his performances. Rodgers injured his thumb in a Week 5 game against the New York Giants and played the rest of the season with that injury, but the hope for Rodgers comes when you look at his performances prior to the thumb injury. Rodgers at the time was 3-1 with the Packers on a pace to throw for another 4,000-yard season. His passing rating also dramatically changed as he had 2 performances in the first 5 games with a rating over 100, but after injuring his thumb, he had only 1 more game over 100 for the entire season. Now looking at this, it is clear that Rodgers was definitely not the same after this injury, and unfortunately, this was one that mushrooms just could not fix. Sorry, Aaron. So now here we stand with Rodgers basically not playing a single real game of football for over 600 days. So can this guy actually still ball? If you want my opinion, yes, he can. Rodgers does not rely on his legs, which gives him a huge boost for returning to a healthy state to be able to sling the ball. On top of this, the last time that we truly saw Rodgers playing without injury, he was still putting up quarterback 1 numbers and living up to his legacy. But the thing that really pushes me over the edge and why I believe that Rodgers still has that capability is because when he was still injured, he was putting up plays like this.
And Rodgers looking up top, fires, touchdown Randall Cobb!
And this.
Get a first down at the 3. Rodgers climbs, escapes, fires to the end zone! Touchdown, Aaron Jones!
Oh yeah, and also ones like this.
We'll snap it on 4th down. Rodgers steps up, end zone, Watson! He's got it again!
Rodgers is one of the intangibles that simply no other quarterback in the NFL can obtain. He's got that dog in him. And at 40 years old, with some of the best playmakers that he has ever seen since his Super Bowl run, Rodgers could shock the world and have one of the best return stories in sports history. But of course, I want to hear what you guys have to say, so head down to the comments and let me know if you think Rodgers will actually be good this year and if the Jets have any chance at making a Super Bowl run. And Rodgers, if you're watching this, I love you.